Have to cover this. Welcome back, guys. I've still got my Dissidia NT background, but something's been happening lately that's kind of got a lot of the Final Fantasy fan base's backs up, or they've kind of been looking at it like, I don't know if I like this. Some are just outright angry. And that's that Mobius is doing something very strange right now. It's trying to tie in previous Final Fantasy games canonically into Mobius, and not just canonically, because this is the strange thing about it. We've had games where all the Final Fantasy characters get pulled in, so things like Dissidia, and that's canon. Dissidia is canon. They've come up with a canonical explanation of how those characters are there, and some of the story and cutscenes that go down we have to assume is actually happens. And we've had previous games like Final Fantasy 14. They've brought in collabs. I think they had Lightning recently. I don't know if they've had other characters outside of Lightning. I know there was a Hume that looked like Jesse. Only got up to like level 55 or something, so I don't know. There's probably been loads of other characters who have appeared. I even think that Yoshida talked about Noctis one day making an appearance in Final Fantasy 14, and it's definitely going to happen. And then you just look at things like the world of Final Fantasy, that even has a canonical explanation of why the characters are there. So it's funny to see that with all of Dissidia, FF14, WoW, and any of the other cross collab games, no one's ever been really angry. No one's been pissed off. So why is this one different? Why is Mobius different? Well, I think I've pinpointed it what they're doing. So when Cloud first came to Mobius, they said a very interesting thing. They said that he's there while he's in the live stream. So when Cloud actually falls into the live stream and he's kind of away from the game, we don't really know what is happening to Cloud at that point. Of course, we do delve into his memory in some of the live stream, but there was definitely a time gap where we didn't know what Cloud was doing or going through during his time in the live stream. And they've actually come out and said that during that time, he went over to Warrior of Light, Mobius's world. God damn, I can't remember its name. I can't remember its name, Jesus. I actually live streamed this game. And this is the thing, I want to just clear up right now. I'm not saying this because I don't like mobile games. I kind of feel like there is a hypocrisy with it. Why is it that these other games, Dissidia, etc., FF14, they never get any hate, but this does? Is it because it's a mobile game, and us here in the West, we kind of just sneer at mobile games? And we definitely do. We just kind of sneer. Mobile games are shit. They shouldn't be doing them. Every time a new mobile game comes out, everyone kind of lays some heat on Square Enix's ass. But I want to make it clear that it's not because I'm biased against mobile games. In fact, I've actually been quite supportive of the mobile games, except for 15 A New Empire. I will never support that pile of shit. But something like Mobius, I live streamed that, and I actually enjoyed it. I think I also dropped something like 80 quid on job classes. Now, I'm going to say I like Mobius, and it's got a fantastic story. It's a high quality game with a high quality design. I like the effort they've put into it. But man, some of those loot boxes, really cash grabby, and people were saying that before it came out to the PC, because I played on PC before it came out. Apparently it was even more cash grabby, and people were saying, oh, Pez, by the time you play it won't be cash grabby at all. I would drop 9 quid on a loot box, and I would get a class that was weaker than the class. Like in Mobius, you kind of have classes that build into other classes. I would get a class that was previous. I'm trying to think of them, a previous version. I'm trying to think of an example. Like I would have a black mage, and previous to that I would get something like just a standard mage or something. Basically a totally useless class. I just dropped 9 quid. I think out of the 80 quid I dropped, I only got like 2 good classes. So that's a real concern. I feel that that's been super cash grabby, and really what fans are pissed off about right now, which is loot boxes. I'm not even just talking about Final Fantasy fans, I'm talking about fans all over the place. The whole topic of loot boxes right now is really blowing up on the gaming scene. A lot of gamers are trying to sign petitions to get that shit shut down. I think Shadows of War, the new Shadow of War game. I also think Battlefront 2 is really pushing that. The new Star Wars game. So there's been a lot of hate for loot boxes right now, and just mobile games in general. They get that kind of cash grabby, low quality, just total disliking here in the West. And that's the thing, I think that's ridiculous. I think any idea that Square Enix shouldn't do mobile games is just totally asinine, especially considering Japan have moved away from the console market. Why wouldn't Square Enix make mobile games? I think that us Westerners, we need to take a step back when it's the only way a lot of Japanese gamers can actually play games now, and this kind of feeds into the Pocket Edition. I don't like that 15's been demade for the Pocket Edition, but I definitely think that Square Enix, if they want to survive as a company, they can't just go, oh, Japan, they don't have consoles anymore, so we're just going to abandon them. So I like that they're still doing it, and the fact that I think Mobius, last time I looked, had 10 million players. 10 million? Who are we to sneer at the success of Mobius? So I want to make that clear, that I'm not going at this because I don't like mobile games. I'm going at this because of, like I said, when they were saying that this happened while Cloud was in the live stream. I don't know where Lightning came into it. I don't know if Lightning was inserted canonically during an event during Final Fantasy 13 where Lightning was away. But with the latest one, Final Fantasy 10, they're now making this latest expansion of Mobius an explanation of what happened to Tidus between 10 and 10.2. And that's how they framed it, or certainly how the articles have framed it to us. And a lot of people have come out and said, oh, they can't do that. They can't do that. Well, they very much can. Mostly because the person who is writing it is Toriyama. I also think it's Katase. So the people who worked, the core team who worked on Final Fantasy X, they're the one who are now bringing this to Mobius. So if anyone is allowed to do it, they're allowed to do it. Now, that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be accepted, because they're trying to explain some of the canon of Final Fantasy X and what happened. I know what people are saying. Oh, does this mean a Final Fantasy X fan is saying, oh, do I now have to play a mobile game? A super repetitive mobile game that I really don't enjoy. And that's kind of why I stopped playing it. As much as I support the mobile games, I think they should happen. Personally, it just doesn't fit my play style. That's why I stopped the live stream playthrough of it, because it's just so repetitive. I know mobile games are designed to be that. I mean, when you're just playing on the bus or the train, you're just supposed to do the same kind of things over and over. But when you're actually sitting down at PC, like I want a good 5-hour like gaming session right now, mobile games really aren't built to cater to that. So I know what people are saying. Oh, does it mean I have to play this really fucking boring ass monotonous game to learn about the story of Final Fantasy X and 10.2? And it's the case that, yeah, I suppose so. If they're making stuff that they're saying is canon to Final Fantasy X and is the canonical interim between 10 and 10.2, well then yes. But on the flip side of that, I would say I doubt it really matters, because whatever they do decide to do, it's not going to be anything grand. It's not going to be anything massive. It's not going to explain anything huge about Tidus or anything huge about Spira. It's not really going to get into the lore. I could be wrong, but I highly doubt it, because even just looking for it's kind of more just like an excuse to have the characters there. And like I was saying, when Japan have become so mobile oriented, I see why Square are doing this, and it's really clever, because they've got Japanese players who were once Final Fantasy fans, but no, they can't play them anymore because they don't have the hardware and they don't have the time. So they're trying to find ways to canonically tie Final Fantasy into it to make mobile games feel even more relevant to the universe. But I think it's a bad move, because it feels forced. Am I the only thing that it feels forced? It feels shoehorned. Like, this is what happened while Tidus was away. I don't think that between 10 and 10.2 there needs to be an explanation on what happened to Tidus. In fact, I think we had an explanation. I don't feel like anything grand or huge had to happen. We've got to think, where is this going to lead up to? And the next is they're going to be a Final Fantasy 15 and Mobius collab, and they're going to say this is what happened while Noctis was in the crystal. This is what happened during the 10-year time gap. And for me to find out, I'm going to have to go and play Mobius. So I don't like that they're just kind of looking through these previous games, finding places. Oh, the characters are way there. This is an excuse to insert them into the game. It kind of feels like that's what they're going for. And no matter what they do with this Final Fantasy X and 10.2, it's not going to be accepted by the West. I mean, the fact that it's been written by Toriyama and Katase, the people who worked on 10, that don't mean shit. Audio will. The audio drama for Final Fantasy X, even the 10 2.5 novella, that was all done by the core team. Yes, the rumours that supposedly Katase submitted a fan fiction, that was total horseshit. That was total lie. That is all canonical, and I've come out and done the videos as to why I don't think they're that bad. I know they kind of both come across as shitty fan fictions. They kind of feel and read and sound like shitty fan fictions, and the entire fan base, I'd say probably 80% have gone, no, fuck that, that's terrible. I don't accept that. We don't accept that. That didn't happen. So there's a huge portion of what is canonical in the 10 and 10.2 universe that's already been rejected. So to see that they're adding even more, that is more than likely to be rejected. It's a bit messy, but I see why they're doing it. I understand why. Make it feel like it's somehow tied into the game to make Japanese gamers feel even more connected to the Final Fantasy universe and what's happening. But the previous Dissidia games pulled them in, but they was never that specific. They was never that in-depth. I think that's the main difference. I think that this is a pitfall. So I know they teed it up with Cloud. I'm not sure if they teed up with Lightning. It seems like they've gone even further with this latest one with Final Fantasy X. I think that they're gonna, if it goes well, which it most likely is because they're really pushing this, if it goes well, they're going to push it even further, and that's when we can get things like this is what happened while Noctis was away. Where does this buck stop? How crazy do they go with this? Well, no, manipulating the canon. And the next is it when Squall got ice lanced and he fell, and the biggest mystery of them all. Is Mobius now going to come out and be like, oh yeah, while that happened during the interim, Squall was actually transported to the world of Mobius and Echo healed him? I mean, don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas, Pez. They'll probably use it. So there it is, guys. What do you think about this? It's kind of curious. I find it quite interesting. I'm not fully informed. Obviously, I've not played it. I've not played this latest thing, so maybe someone can come out and be like, oh, this is actually more of the logical explanation of what they're doing. But just from an outsider looking in, looking at the articles, looking at what's really ruffling the fan base's flim-flams right now, that's the story. What side of the fence do you sit on? Let me know in the comment section below. Until the next video. Coop out.